If you found out your brother had quietly pocketed $40,000 from your late mother's estate money that was supposed to be split equally between the two of you, would you let it go to keep the peace? Or would you burn the whole thing down? Because I chose door number two, and now my entire family thinks I'm the villain. So before you judge me, just hear me out. My mom passed away about 14 months ago, breast cancer. It was a long goodbye, 2 years of treatments, then hospice, then one Tuesday morning in March she just wasn't there anymore. Her name was Carol, and she was the kind of woman who kept a handwritten budget in a spiral notebook and never once bounced a check in her life. She was careful. She was fair. She left a will. The will was simple. Everything split 50-50 between me, Diane, and my older brother, Marcus. The house, the savings account, whatever was left in her investment portfolio. We were the only two kids. No drama, right? Clean and clear. Marcus is 44, I'm 39. We were never especially close, different personalities, different cities, but we weren't enemies either. He was always a little slick, always knew how to work a room, but I never had a reason not to trust him. Mom trusted him. She'd named him executor of the estate because he lived closer to her, and honestly, because I think she believed he'd just handle it. And he did handle it, that's the problem. He handled all of it. The estate took about 8 months to settle, which is normal. I looked it up. Marcus was sending me updates here and there. House is on the market. Got an offer. Closing next month. It felt fine. He'd send a PDF, I'd skim it. Life was moving forward in that numb way it does when you're grieving and also trying to hold your regular life together. Then the final accounting came through. Marcus said my share came out to just under $62,000 after taxes, fees, the cost of clearing out the house. He wired it to me. Done. Except I couldn't shake a feeling. I don't know why, maybe it was just grief making me paranoid, but I pulled up the property records on the house myself. It had sold for $312,000. Marcus had told me it sold for $280,000. That's a $32,000 gap before we even split it. My cut of that gap alone was $16,000. I called him, I tried to keep my voice even. I said, "Hey, I was just looking at the county records on Mom's house. Can you help me understand the difference in the numbers?" And he paused. One of those pauses that's a second too long. Then he said, "There were costs I absorbed personally. I'll send you a breakdown." The breakdown never came. I followed up twice by text. He said he was busy. Then one message said, "I did all the work on this estate for 8 months, Diane. I think that has some value." And I just sat with that for a minute, because fine, maybe it does, but that's not something you decide on your own. That's not something you take without asking. I hired an estate attorney for a consultation. $60 for an hour of her time. She looked at what I had and said, point blank, "If these numbers are accurate, your brother took a distribution he wasn't entitled to, and he may not have reported it correctly to the IRS." She said I had options. I could try to negotiate privately, or I could file a formal complaint. I went home and drafted an email to Marcus. I told him exactly what I'd found, exactly what the attorney said, and I told him I needed him to either explain the discrepancy or make it right within 30 days. I told him I didn't want this to go further. He called me, he was furious. He said I was coming at him like a criminal over accounting rounding. Accounting rounding, $32,000. He didn't fix it, the 30 days passed. I filed a report with the IRS. And yeah, I know how that sounds. I know, the IRS, on my brother, 14 months after we buried our mother. I'm not sitting here pretending that was a warm and loving choice. But I want to be honest about why I did it. It wasn't just the money. It was the fact that he looked me in the eye, or, fine, looked me through a phone, and acted like I was being unreasonable for asking. Like grief had made me too stupid to read a public property record. The fallout was immediate and it was bad. My aunt, my mom's sister, called me crying. She said, "Your mother would be devastated." My cousin sent a text that just said, "Wow." Marcus's wife left me a voicemail that I've never listened to all the way through. Marcus himself sent one message. It said, "You just turned a family matter into a federal case because you couldn't let me have anything after everything I did for her. I hope it was worth it." That line, "after everything I did for her," that one landed, because he did do more. He was there for the last 2 years in a way I wasn't. He drove her to appointments. He handled the hospice calls. I was 2 states away with a job and 2 kids, and I showed up when I could, which wasn't enough, and I know that. I have thought about that every single day since she died. But does that mean he gets to decide how much that was worth? Does that mean he gets to quietly take it without a conversation? And here's the part that keeps me up at night. What if I had just let it go? What would that have said about how much I valued what mom actually wanted? A few weeks after I filed, my attorney told me the IRS inquiry was moving forward. I haven't spoken to Marcus since. My aunt still won't return my calls. And I genuinely don't know if I did the right thing. So here's where I'm at. My brother may have taken money that wasn't entirely his, or he may have done 8 months of hard, painful work caring for our dying mother and quietly decided to compensate himself in a way he should have asked me about first. Both of those things can be true at the same time. And I reported him to the IRS anyway, not to a mediator, not to a probate court, the IRS. My aunt says I nuked the family over money. My attorney says I protected my legal rights. Marcus says I made him a criminal for grieving differently than I did. And I'm sitting here wondering if the real question isn't whether he was wrong, but whether what I did was worse. So honestly though, what would you have done? Comment below.